Hello everybody, welcome back to one of my videos. You guys seem to enjoy the first history video, so I might continue on. Although I do like making them though, even though I'm kind of lazy at points. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about the history of the Chuck E. Cheese's in Richland, Washington. Now I'm pretty sure you guys already know about this location since I've been talking about it for a numerous amount of times. But even with that, the store isn't really popular around the fandom. Not even close to like Bellevue or Linwood. And I barely hear any people talk about this location except for like 2 or 3. But today I might join along and give it its own video and talk about the whole history of this location. I'll also cover the location where the store relocated to and what happened to the original store later on. Anyways, enough of me stalling. Let's get over the history of the Chuck E. Cheese's in Richland, Washington. So before we go over the Chuck E. Cheese's in Richland, here's how the city of Richland got its name. The name of Richland was approved in 1905. The city was originally supposed to be named Benton because the city was located in the Benton County. But the post office didn't approve the name since they thought it might get confused with the Benton County. So they landed on the name Richland because they thought it would be a good way to honor Nelson Rich, who was also a chief executive officer. And the name was also a nod to the fertile and rich farmland around the same area. And as of today, the population of the city is between 64,000 to 65,000, and is also a part of the Tri-Cities, which is also located in the southern area of Washington. On September 30th of 1982, a Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time Theater will open at the 2610 and Columbia Center Boulevard location as a Pizza Time Theater. It was actually the 8th Pizza Time Theater to open in Washington, and it was also located in the plaza, which would later be named as the River's Edge Plaza. This location was also franchised for its entire lifespan, with the owner of the franchise being the Corbin family, and the franchise owner, John Corbin, still owns the current location as of today, but I'll talk about that location later on. Anyways, when the store first opened, they will open with the balcony stage, which was common at the time. Here's also a front of the newspaper to promote the new store of October of '82. The stage will also be placed in front of the store, which will be the case for later stages later on. And by the way, while finding information, here's a print of the store's layout, and it shows how big the game room was at this location. The kitchen and the price counter will also be on the left side of the store, while the showroom was on the right side of the store as well. I'm not sure what the top part of the layout is, but I assume it was a different store on the other side of the plaza. And possibly around 1983, they will replace Madame Oink with Helen Henny, since Madame Oink was being retired during that time. Another thing I want to note is that there's no information on what cabaret character they had, but I'm gonna take a guess that they probably had the King and possibly Dolly Dimples, though they'll probably be removed later on. When the store first opened, they will have some of the common games around the time, though there could have been unique games back then, just like Fairfield, California, but I can't confirm that since there are no photos around this time, including in the 90s. In 1989, Richland would get the 1986 SPT remodel, which involved in getting the new game package, adding the blue and white awnings near the salad bar, and adding newer art around the showroom. Finally, around this time, they will convert the balcony stage into one of 3 C stages in Washington. Also, just a side note, I'm not sure if Richland had any showroom walls or signage for separating both the showroom and the game room, since half the store had these walls positioned going inwards as you go into the showroom. Although I would guess they will have the showroom sign above where the showroom would be. Anyways, after receiving the new remodel, nothing much would change. Although I'm not sure since again there's no information or footage of this store around this time. Although I would guess they will replace some older games to replace them with newer games.
and also having the animatronics having unique outfits for occasions. That's all what I would guess what will happen until around after having the C stage for 2 years. Later in 1991, they would replace the C stage and install the new at the time Road stage, where the rest of the band would still have their half-body cyberamic versions, while Chucky was a full-body cyberamic standing behind a 3-stage star with a neon sign next to him. However, Richland's Chuck would be more elevated to the ceiling due to his platform being way more higher than the others. This stage would also be noted for being the only road stage to be in the state of Washington. However, this stage would lack any kind of curtains, including the wink, and later on the Chuck E. Cheese neon sign next to Chuck. The floodlights, however, were positioned to shine on each of the characters due to the lack of more floodlights on top. After the road stage would be installed, the store would remodel to the 1992 Phase 3 remodel, in which they would replace the older art to replace it with the new record and confetti posters, the artifact shelves, the low-hanging lights, the newer booths, and a new exterior. Our first photo of the store comes from 2007, showing the exterior but still had the walls to enter the building. Even more interesting is this portrait of Tux Chuck next to these tall planters. I don't know if this was an official piece of art from the 90s because it looks a bit handmade. Do you guys know where this portrait came from? Let me know in the comments.
What's interesting is that even before 2007, the store received some cool Chuck art, especially these sassy character posters and these multicolored Chuck posters. Possibly around this time, they will also replace the cool Chuck signage on the plaza sign to replace it with the Avenger sign, despite not getting a newer exterior of the building. Also, this sign has a very rare feature, as the cap on the cool Chuck signage has a star on top, which the later versions will replace it with the C. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
Anyways, they will also have the Chuck walk around in the 2000s, which was the Avenger version. But this photo also shows the stage with the Cyberamics being turned off. The Chuck Cyberamic still had his tux outfit around this time, but also had the 90s mask for him, including for the rest of the band. They will also retain their peacetime theater movements as well, especially Pasquale.
Although in the 2000s, Munch's arms will be swapped out for newer arms. And Helen's peacetime theater arm swing will also be removed for a newer one.
However, no video shows the stage performing, so we can't see how their condition was around the time. Although, judging by this one photo of the bots performing, they seem to be in decent condition during this time. In the early 2010s, other aspects would be removed while others were added, such as getting a portion of Phase 4 in the game room, like adding some ticket and token signage on the walls, adding newer booths in the game room, and painting some of the walls purple, but they will also keep some of the 90s art, including the low-hanging lights in the showroom.
Some of the art around the showroom, like the stars and the Elvis Presley art piece, was also removed. Around the 2010s, they might also remove this wall around the game room and move some of the artwork to different sides of the walls. Also around this time, they would have also removed some of the Phase 3 art around the game room, including these lights above the prize counter. And they would have also moved the sky tubes to the left side of the store, where the sky tubes were originally were in front of the showroom. Also, around the same time, or possibly 2015, they will replace the dim lighting with fluorescent lighting to make things a little more brighter in the building.
Chuck's tuxedo outfit will be removed in 2013 and will replace it with the Avenger outfit. Richland was actually the last road stage location to feature Tuck's era on a road stage.
His latex feet will also be replaced with the plastic feet during the same time. The TV between Chuck and Helen will also be removed for a bigger screen TV, which looked kind of weird. And Pasquale's drum front will also be replaced with a white drum front. The wall exterior and the planters will also be removed at this time for more parking space. During 2014, they will also receive the Rockstar costume, but also keep the 1990s Helen walk around with a cheerleader outfit.
This Chuck walk-around will also be used outside of the store, such as attending elementary schools and other events in Washington.
During December of 2016, the store would receive the Phase 5 painted walls,
which would paint some of the walls green, orange, and blue on the walls, but wouldn't get the Phase 5 art. However, they will still keep some purple walls in some sections of the store. And even more surprising, they will also keep the Phase 3 art, such as the record posters, the confetti posters, the low-hanging lights, and more unique is that they will keep the 1990s booths on both sides of the showroom.
They also kept some of the 1990s posters once you entered the showroom, such as the Italy postcard and the Hollywood postcards, with the Tug's versions. And I also forgot to mention is that they still kept that Mount Chuckmore art piece, which is definitely uncommon, even as of today's standards. However, there's still no footage of their road stage performing. It's a bit weird since there were other locations that have their stage performing and being caught on footage, but Richland's an exception. Maybe it was due to the air compressor being broken or that the bots were in such bad shape that they didn't mind turning the air compressor at all. As for the game room, they will also keep the sky tubes around the time.
They will also have the most common games around the time, such as the Chuck E. Cheese photo ride, the skee ball, Crossy Road, Jurassic Park, basketball games, the kiddie rides, Seawolf, Guitar Hero, Buzzy Buzzy Bee, Birthday Party, the SpongeBob games, and etc.
Though they will also have some of the games in the kitchen, either to fix some of them or that they just didn't have enough room. It's still kind of interesting how they still kept some of the Phase 3 art around the showroom and having Phase 4 walls and artwork in the game room, while having Phase 5 painted walls around the store. But like Fairfield, California, this is the franchise store, so they could do whatever they want. And due to the store still being franchised, that still meant Chuck was able to keep his cap on even after 2012. Though this kind of depends on the franchise's choice. At least the store itself. Also during this time, they will also move the ticket blaster from the side of the stage to this part of the store next to the bathrooms.
Apparently there was a Christmas party going on at the store around 2016, and the franchise owner of the store came for an Employee of the Year. There's not much to say about this, I just wanted to mention it because I thought it was cool. There's also some footage of the store while it was closed, and it shows that they had some Phase 4 art, and one of the most unique pieces at this time was this wooden ice cream sign. I don't think I can recall any other stores that had this sign, so this is definitely a rare thing to see in a store.
And all of these Phase 4 art were basically taken out around the game room and then just put around in this corner of the showroom.
The road stage, however, still wasn't operational around the same time, although Chuck's bass was repainted to green, as well as Munch's keyboard legs and Pasquale's drums were painted red as well, which is a strange choice, but okay.
Also, I forgot to mention this, but they still had that pink Munch's Make Believe band ticket in the showroom along with the Flying Cheese guitar, and with the 1993 drive-in poster. Around a year later, in Christmas of 2017, a YouTuber by the name of DK Nay announced that the store will be closing and relocate to a newer store in Kennewick, which is like 5 minutes away from each other. I'm unsure what the reasoning for closure was, but it was probably due to leasing problems or because from what I've heard the store received a health violation,
leaving the store to close a year later. The sky tubes would have been removed in 2017 as well.
And towards the end of its run, they will install the Phase 5 art pieces.
Before the store closed in 2018, there's finally some footage of the stage performing, and damn, this is way worse than Fairfield.
Hey, Pasquale!
Yeah, so while they were able to perform at this point, very few of the characters moved, and the ones that were moving had very limited movements working. Chuck's entire body didn't work with only his mouth, head movement, and apparently his eyes were moving. Helen was completely dead while having this shocked look into her that kind of makes her creepy. Jasper looking completely done with Chuck, and also still kept his banjo around this time. I'm not sure if they were just turned off around this time or if they were just in bad condition. The only character that sort of fully moves was Munch. While having the most movements, his jaw looked completely busted, with his eyelids not moving either. The floodlights didn't seem to work either besides this one light above Munch. And yes, this does include the spotlight bar as well. Let me just say, it's very unfortunate how the stage was in such a bad condition around this time, even when they didn't move.
But with that, on September 9th, 2018, the store would close. And the sign was taken down a few days after it closed.
After a few months, a video after the store closed showed that the store after closing. However, some of the booths, the record posters, and other artwork still remain even when it closed. The strangest thing during this video is that the animatronics, including the whole stage, still was intact besides the TV being removed. However, this was short-lived and the entire store would be gutted, including the whole stage. And after gutting the whole place, the store would turn into a temporary voting center for some reason. Not much really happened with the store when it turned into a voting center, but they will still keep the Phase 5 walls and the price counter will be empty. With the bots and the whole stage, they were confirmed destroyed just recently, along with the artwork as well. I'm honestly not that shocked since the bots for closure were in very, very bad shape afterwards, even before closure. After the voting center closed, the property for the center would be sold off and rebuilt. They will go under construction around 2021 or 2022, and as of today, the store is now a church, I think. That's what I heard from other people, so I might go along with it.
Although there's not that much photos of what the inside looks like now.
Some walls in the store would also be destroyed and would redo the entire store. The Phase 5 walls were also destroyed as well. And as of 2025, the store would remain like this.
I honestly wish there was more footage and photos of this location in the 2010s.
And even in the early 90s to show what the stage was like around the time. The 2018 footage makes me wonder if they were just in that bad of shape for a long time. But yeah, that concludes the history of the original Richland Washington location. However, we're not done yet because now we're going to talk about where the store relocated. After Richland closed, the store would relocate to its current location in October of the same year, which was the 6340 West Rio Grande Avenue location in Kennewick. The store would open as a 2.0 store, and was actually the first 2.0 store to be in Washington. Kennewick was also one of the earliest 2.0 stores, meaning they will have some of the early features that the original 2.0 stores would have, which were a bigger dance floor, 6 TVs above the dance floor, and the early versions of the generic character posters. Some of the new games were added to the location, but interestingly, some of the other games from Richland would be sent to this store. They still had the Avenger version of the car ride when it first opened.
One thing I really want to mention out of all of these things that came from Richland is that they still kept the Phase 3 booths. That's right, a Phase 3 remnant from the 1990s still was able to make it into a 2.0 store. Why is that? Well, it's because this location is still franchised, due to it still being owned by John Corbin, who also owned Richland. The franchisee also helped to build the new location before Richland closed. I think as of today they still own the 1990s Helen costume. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And the store would remain the same during this time, but something happened during 2020. To summarize, during March of 2020, the store would abruptly close out of nowhere. And it wasn't due to the bankruptcy that CEC was suffering around the time. Heck, the bankruptcy happened months later before the closure. But it was most likely due to the payment of the land went out. So John Corbin, the manager of the store, wrote a letter to the government around Kennewick in October of the same year, and tried to seek answers as to why the store randomly closed. But thankfully, it did reopen towards the end of the year, and the store would remain unchanged after it reopened. And yes, this does mean keeping some of the old games from Richland.
Eventually, the store would receive a part of the 2021 model, which replaced the 2017 dance floor to be a smaller one, but still keeping the 6 TVs above it, as well as the video wall with the newer character posters.
The last things that happened to this store is that they received the trampoline zone in 2024, and more recently, the new Ninja Run course. They also sent the Phase 5 art to this store from Richland. And I will admit, it's better than having this shit. And I'm gonna be honest, this is actually one of the only 2.0 stores I actually like, aside from Totally. Anyways, as of September of 2025, the store would remain like this. And that concludes the whole history of Richland and Kennewick, Washington. With Kennewick still open as a 2.0 store, and Richland still possibly open as a church. Like I said before, I wish there was more footage of this store around the early 2000s to see what the bots were like around the time, but considering that this plaza wasn't that popular, and the fact that the store was kind of handled poorly, I could kind of see why this store is barely known. And it's probably going to stay like that for a while, or until like a few months or years. I'm not sure. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any suggestions on what locations I should do, then comment down below and I might do a video on it. But anyways, I'll see you in my next video. Bye everybody. Okay, so I'm recording this after, and while searching for more like footage of Richland, I found this one video where back in 2017, and it shows like the stage performing and Munch's mouth moving and the whole stage performing, but not like the 3 characters that are like off. So I guess they were moving at some points, but like I guess they were only able to like operate Chuck and Munch during this time, and probably like after like 2010, I think. I guess I just wanted to point it out. So yeah, bye.